Right, I'm just going to go live, okay?
Yeah.
My laptop now to work on.
Got any questions, eh?
Just want to check.
Yeah.
You're going to be the one that's going to drop in and say, no, you can't answer that. Sorry, no questions, no more questions. Just make sure.
I think we just let it go on and on, just it's to that.
I could talk all day, so jokes on you, eh?
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yourself? Just turn this off. Get sponsoring. About water.
Right. Let me just. Live. There we go. Morning, everybody. We are here for the Slough Town press conference for the FA Cup first round proper tie against Grimsby Town on Sunday, 2 o'clock kickoff. Scott Davis is here with us. Tom Canning's here from Football in Berkshire. Josh is here. Josh, I've forgotten your surname. Brown. Damn it. Josh Brown is here from the Maidenhead Advertiser as well. So we'll have a few questions. Scott, how are you?
Yeah, very well. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking forward to it. We've had some technical issues. So we are now doing it off a laptop to a screen, brought loads of equipment, none of it's going. So there we go. That's the way it goes. Excited, Scott, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone at the club is obviously good for myself and the players, but more importantly for the supporters to enjoy a good day out on Sunday. Excited. I don't think we're nervous at all. I think it's one that we can look forward to. Game where we've got nothing to lose and a hell of a lot to gain if we come out on the right side of it.
It's Grimsby Town, obviously, who had a decent run in the cup last year. Do you look at that and think that could be us, or is it just you're probably going to answer one game at a time, aren't you?
I don't think we're going to get to the quarterfinal. I think that's one thing I can safely say. I think Grimsby, though, last year when they started to play the earlier rounds, were probably thinking that they weren't going to get there. We've obviously got to be realistic, and I think playing Grimsby at home on a plastic pitch is realistic. I think we'll be in with a chance, but as long as we play well, I think we need to be better than what we have been earlier on in the season. And I think we've done that in recent weeks. And I think also on the plastic pitch, it makes it more of a leveller.
Yeah.
Them coming down to our place. All I want the lads come the end of the game is to be able to look at themselves in the mirror and think, do you know what, I've given it a really good go and have no regrets.
You've obviously not been a manager for very long, but you've got the answers absolutely down pat there. One game. Do you think that, because obviously they will train on a pitch like this, do you think that really makes a difference?
It's a tricky one. Like, obviously, when I was full-time, we used to train on 3G. Players used to moan about it, hated it. And I know as soon as the draw was probably made and they realised that they had Slough away on a plastic pitch, that would have been the first thing that they'd have said. No one would have been delighted with the answer when they were told it was a 3G. So we've got to use that to our advantage. A lot of players have played in it, trained on it, but they're all different. I think you get used to the run of the ball, the bounce of the ball. Sometimes they're quick, sometimes they're slow. So yeah, any sort of little advantage that we can take in our favour will definitely be good for us on the day.
How much attention have you paid to Grimsby recently? Obviously, they've sort of had things like 5 defeats in a row, including one in the EFL Trophy to Bradford City. Do you pay much attention to them?
Yeah, I've looked at them a lot. I think people have sent me bits and pieces and stats and clips. So I've watched a couple of games in its entirety, which have been useful. I've been sent individual clips on every player by one of my teammates, one of my ex-teammates who plays in the same league as them. So I've got as much information as I can. we know that they're a good side. There's no doubt about it. They'll be expecting to win. Everyone in the country will be expecting them to win. But hopefully there's that glimmer of hope for us that we can obviously cause an upset. In terms of them, I think they're a lot better than what their league position is at the moment. Very similar to us. I think we should probably be higher in our league as well. They got some really good individuals, and more exciting than that is that they're going to bring a hell of a fan base down as well, which will make it a great atmosphere. So delighted that it's Grimsby that are coming to us. One of my old teammates was assistant manager there up until last week, who I played with briefly. So it was nice that I was going to be able to see him for the first time in years. But obviously, with them being managerless now, it's changed a little bit.
Obviously, as you know, you've had a lot of experience in the FA Cup yourself. What do you tell your team? What do you tell about? What can you use from your experience in the past in the FA Cup? Because ultimately, it's a football match, but it does. To go down a cliched route, it does mean something, doesn't it? It's different. Yeah,
got to believe. I think if you go out there with no belief on Sunday, you'll come unstuck. I think the other thing is that their manager will be drilling into them that don't underestimate Slough, because being on the flip side, when I was full time, the manager used to say that as many times as he wanted, and sometimes you didn't it didn't land or resonate with you at the time. You just think, oh, do you know what? It's a Conference South team or it's a non-league side. We're going to go there. We'll turn up and we'll just get the business done. And it's nice being on the other side of it now. There will be players in their team that maybe might take their foot off the gas a little bit, and I hope they do, because it will make it a little bit easier for us than maybe what it should be. But at the same time, if they're professional, which I'm sure they will be, under a interim management team, they'll want to give it their all. They'll want to get a result, not only for themselves, but for Ben and Sean that have taken over, and for the fans that have travelled. So it's going to be a tough day regardless. We know that. But whilst we're still in the competition, whilst we're out there on the pitch on Sunday, we'll be on with a chance.
You've got some players in your side as well with some very, very recent first round experience. I mean, no disrespect to any Grimsby fans who might be watching this, but Grimsby Town and Ipswich Town. What have you got from those guys? You've got Dan Bayliss, you've got Temi Awika, and you've got Michael Platt, who were part of that Bracknell Town team last season. Have you been able to kind of talk to them a little bit about it?
Not something that we've spoken about in great length, to be honest. I think it's a completely different game, different team, different new surroundings for them as well. I think the experience that they've got from last year will be invaluable come the day. But I think it's about what we do. I think the one thing that I want to stress to the lads is that enjoy it, believe that you'll have a chance of winning the game, and just give a good account of yourselves. I think that's the one thing. If people go to bed on Sunday night and think, oh, I could have run a little bit harder, run a little bit faster, could have made that tackle, could have taken that shot. Regrets are the worst things in life. Want the lads to go out there and express themselves. I genuinely believe that we've got players of Football League quality. I think some of the young players in our team could step up in the next year or two. So it's a great showcase for them, a great platform for them to go out there and obviously show what they're about. I'm really excited. Everyone keeps saying to me, "You're nervous?" No. Why would you be nervous about a football match in front of a home crowd that's going to be a sellout against the high league team? It's going to be a great occasion, and really, really excited.
I want to ask you about Matt Lynch, character. I always feel like whenever I see something big happen at Slough, he's involved in it. How important is he? There's a clip that we use quite regularly of one of his celebrations where he has a quick sip of beer from some of the fans. He's a character. A photo of him has won an award with us before as well. What does he mean to the team? What does he bring?
He's brilliant. He is brilliant. He's frustrating at times off the pitch more so than on it. He's very opinionated, outspoken, but that's why we love him. I think when he goes onto the pitch, for me, when he's on it, he's probably been the best player that I've played with at Slough over the past 5 years. I think he's that good. And I've said that to him before. I think when I took over last season, he was the standout player for me. I think he gave me so much as a manager, and he really drove the team on. And I think the best performance that I've seen in recent times from him was the Ebbsfleet game a couple of weeks ago. He was absolutely outstanding, and that's him playing with an injury.
Yeah.
But Lenchy, when he's good, is absolutely brilliant. Delighted to have him with us. He'll watch this back and he'll be delighted that I'm saying all of this. So it's obviously not all about him. We've got some brilliant players this year. I think the one thing that will stand us in good stead come Sunday is our togetherness. We've got a brilliant set of people. I've been fortunate enough to be able to choose the people that I share a change room with this year. And I think I've picked good people. That's one thing that I've tried to stress is that we need to be tight. We need to stick together. we know in terms of resources, when it comes to the league, we're going to be up against it at times. So what you might lose in ability, you can definitely combat that with hard work. And that's what we'll be aiming to do on Sunday. I think they'll have better players than us. They're professional footballers. They might be a little bit fitter and stronger. But in terms of work rate, I think we'd outdo anyone that would play against them if we're obviously honest with ourselves.
What they probably don't have is a couple of defenders who at one point in their career scored more goals in a season than they conceded. I don't know where I'm going with that. I just like to bring that up on a regular basis. Obviously, Dan Bayliss and Temi had that phenomenal season at Bracknell a couple of years ago. I think it was 12 goals they scored, 10 they conceded between them. So quite a good marker for you guys. How have you settled this summer? Because you brought a lot of new players in. You mentioned about being a tight group. How have you brought those in? How have you settled with them? Because I think a couple of them were injured as well, and they're just starting to come back.
I think results allow the group to settle. I think the first 7 games where we only won 1, it was very disjointed. The togetherness didn't really feel like it was there. But what breeds confidence and togetherness is results. And we managed to obviously go and beat them for 10 games, which was great, and it really brought the group together. In terms of the people, obviously Dan and Temi, they had a great relationship at Bracknell, and that was something that I was aware of. We probably had to wait a little bit longer to get Temi through the door. I knew that we maybe had to suffer at the beginning of the season without him, but he was always my long-term plan. And obviously when the call came, it was great to bring him in and put that partnership with Dan back together, because they both complement each other in so many good ways. Dan's probably slightly better in the air. Temi's a little bit quicker across the floor. So they understand each other. They know each other's game. In terms of the stats at Bracknell, they do tell me about it from time to time, or they'll put a photo in the group chat, brotherly love and all of that sort of stuff that they've played together before. But no, it's great. It really is a special group, and that's why I think that when you've got a group like we do, I honestly believe that they're capable of the unthinkable. And I think for us, the unthinkable would be to win on Sunday afternoon.
This game should be on TV, shouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's one of those that I was disappointed, not for myself or anything like that. I was disappointed for the club. I think revenue and finance is huge in non-league football. I think with Grimsby getting to the quarterfinal last year, us being on a plastic pitch, I thought it was written to be on TV. But it is what it is. I know that there's other games that are brilliant games that are on TV, and there's probably a couple that aren't. So yeah, obviously getting extended highlights would be great, where they'll fly across the ground if there's been a goal. So something is better than nothing for sure.
Win or lose, obviously on Sunday, I hope it's a win. What would you expect, or what do you want to see from your side? Obviously, there's a mix now, young players, the headset. I imagine you want the sort of passion in front of home support, right? But what do you personally want to see?
But if anyone came to the Tonbridge game, that was one end of the spectrum, and if you came to the Ebbsfleet game, it was the other end of the spectrum. So for me, I want to see towards the Ebbsfleet game heart, passion, desire, quality, work rate, togetherness, all of those things, cliche. And I know everyone's bored of hearing about them and those words, but they stand you with a chance in football. If you don't have those things, there's no point in walking out there on Sunday afternoon. So we've got players that can definitely hurt any side, individual skill, whatever it might be, pace, power. So all of those things combined with the sort of cliches and the adjectives, they need to go hand in hand. Grimsby have got that as well. They've got individual players that could definitely hurt us. So it's about working together, and I always say together stronger, and we'll certainly try and aim to be that on Sunday.
Is there one player you back in specific of yours that will have a really good game this week?
It's difficult because I don't want to give the team away, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I can't obviously mention too much. I don't want to say, but we've definitely got people that are on song at the moment that have been playing well, that I'm looking forward to seeing myself. There's some players that excite me with the way that they play. So I love watching us when we're on it. I think that's the word, that's the phrase that we use. The Ebbsfleet game, I said it in the post-match interview then, it was one of the best team performances I've ever been a part of. And it doesn't matter which level it's at, pound for pound, everyone was just brilliant that night. And it's not often that happens. People can make mistakes and slip up, but hopefully when we play Grimsby on Sunday, it's a case of who makes the least mistakes will probably win the game. So I can't wait. I'll be honest with you. I keep counting down the nights, keep waking up in the morning. But that's the feeling that I've got. There's not 1% of me that's nervous. I think it's more joy, excitement. I think for us as well, the management team with Chrissy and Yella and Winesy, they've not, well, Chrissy's experienced it at St Albans, and I know Yella's like an excitable puppy at the moment. So he's really looking forward to it. Winesy's not been a part of a day like this, and to fill out this ground when it's rocking, it's a special place. There's sometimes you can play in front of 15, 20,000 in a 30,000 seat stadium and it feels empty, it feels dead. Once this place is packed, it'll be a really good atmosphere.
Scott, obviously you've done a few national press calls over the last couple of days or so. You've been in various different national newspapers, talking about the club and everything else. How does that affect you as a manager? Is that something that you kind of got through as a professional when you were a professional footballer? Do you get taught that? Do you get taught about media engagements and stuff like that? Because I'd imagine that the Cray Valley Paper Mills manager, and apologies, I don't know his name, but he's probably had no media training.
Steve McKim.
He's possibly had no media training ahead of this kind of thing, whereas perhaps you have. Is it different? Is it, how do you?
Yeah, I've actually got my degree in professional sports writing and broadcasting, so I did a lot of media back then.
It's more than me then.
Yeah, so it's a strange one. I've always really enjoyed the media side of it. So post-match, when we were full-time, people used to say, can someone go and do the media? And the lads would just turn around and go, Scott, off you go. So I like engaging with people. I like talking to people. So for me, it's not a problem. I've done a lot of media this week where people have reached out on Twitter and various different platforms. And I always say yes, because it's only my time that I'm spending, and I try and help people out. So it's great to be able to do. Obviously, a lot of the time they're talking about a football club that's been a part of my life now for the last 5.5 years. So it's easy for me to talk about somewhere that I enjoy being. I think the relationship that I've got with people at the club is brilliant, and I think the support has been fantastic for my time here. So the more that I can put Slough Town on the map, I feel like I'm doing my part by talking about a brilliant football club.
And obviously, you've got a few contacts who've been right to the top of the game. We were talking just before we started about Brian McDermott, who was a manager here, and I know you talked to him. What's he sort of said to you?
I haven't spoke to him since this week. I spoke to him last week. We had a little catch up about how he's getting on up in Hibernian, which is great. So for me, he's been a really good mentor. I'm lucky that I've got some people that I can talk to, go to advice. My parents being two of them. My dad was involved in non-league football for a long time, and then Brian McDermott's been the sort of other side of it, outside externally from my family. So early days, I used to sort of ring Brian's phone probably 2 or 3 times a week. Brian, what would you do here? What would you do there? And the previous managers as well, Bakes and Unders. Yes. So I try and pull advice from everyone. I know that I'm not the finished article. I know I've got a lot to learn. I'm going to make mistakes. But I'll always do it with the intention that's best for the club. So speaking to Brian, I know that he had some great days in his management career. He obviously managed his football club as well, and similar pathways, hopefully one day for me. So it'd be a lot to live up to with what he's obviously achieved in the game. But to have those sort of people to lean on, it's special to be able to do that as a young manager who's learning. And
what have Bakes and Unders said to you? Because they've obviously had some FA Cup success with this club as well.
Yeah, they just stressed to me about how important it is. I think Bakes said something to me, you don't understand how difficult it is to get to the FA Cup first round. He referred to me about a couple of other managers that have never got there. And I was thinking to myself, surely they have at some point. And I'd done a little bit of research and they hadn't. For me, it's one of those that being the first year as a manager, it almost seems like it's a given now, which is quite strange. I know we've done it the hard way. We've had 3 away games against good sides. So it's nice to be back at home. So I think Bakes and Unders obviously done a fantastic job here in the Cup. Some great ties with Rochdale and Gillingham. There was a bit of a sense there when I spoke to Bakes the other day that we kind of missed out on a great opportunity against Gillingham. We were brilliant that day. I talked about the Ebbsfleet game from a couple of weeks ago. The Gillingham game was right up there as well. I thought we were superb and probably missed out on the chance. I think it was to play Cardiff at home or Swansea at home. It was one of the two. But yeah, no, they just stress the importance of what it does to a football club financially, revenue and things like that. And just more importantly, just to enjoy it.
AD tells me that Slough are the only club to have reached the second round. Was it 9 occasions? And have never made the third round. So no pressure for you, really.
So we'll just try and get to the second first. Yeah. Do you know what? It's one of those where if, for example, we lost the game on Sunday, I would be gutted. There's no doubt about it. I don't care that they're a League Two football club. I'll be gutted because we lost the full match. But we have to be understanding of where we're at and who we're playing. But for us, obviously, it is one game at a time. That's the cliche that you will get off me. We're not looking any further than sort of 3:45, 10 to 4 on Sunday when the game finishes, and seeing where we're at, what we maybe have achieved or what we've missed out on. So, just want everyone to enjoy it. That's the most important part, and just see where it takes us.
What are the next 48 hours going to look like for you? Obviously, I guess what managers would say, relaxing, chilling out. But do you also have to check in with sort of the younger players? I'm sure none of them are out this Saturday night.
It's quite funny. So I do things a bit differently. I name the team on a Thursday night. A lot of managers choose not to do it. The reason why I do it is because I used to find out the team on a Thursday or Friday when I was full time, and I liked having that in my mind whether I was starting or not. And it allowed me to get the disappointment out of the way by the time I got to the game on a Saturday. Whereas if managers name it at 1:45 on a Saturday, you see 5 or 6 heads completely drop straight away and have a bit of an imbalance in the changing room. Some of them are happy, some of them are sad, and get it out of the way, get disappointments out of the way. So I named the team last night, and obviously there were some disappointed bodies, which is good. In the weirdest of ways, we want people to be disappointed. For me, tonight it'll be a case of putting my feet up, checking in probably with Yella and Chrissy, having some last-minute conversations with them. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'll probably go and watch Chesham versus Maidstone. That's probably the highest game on my agenda at the moment. It's either that or stay indoors and watch Bracknell on my TV. So I'll find a way to watch another match or two tomorrow. And then Sunday morning, I'll be at the CAF by myself. I have a sort of pre-match ritual that I'll go to the CAF in silence. I don't let anyone come with me, and sort of just start thinking about what I might say in the changing room, write out some set pieces just so I can plan and prepare. And then get here Sunday midday. So, hopefully I'll sleep in the next couple of nights. But like I said, and I sound like a broken record, it's not being able to sleep purely because of excitement.
Scott, I wanted to just not necessarily FA Cup based, but obviously you talk quite a lot about your history and your past, and we're not going to go into that here because there was plenty of places people can go and read about that. I guess it's really interesting what Slough Town have been able to do. One of your kit sponsors is Epic Risk Management, who I know you work for, and they are a gambling awareness and education company. And how that must be really nice for you to be able to use Slough Town as a space and a place to push another side of that part of the game, which I think is certainly an issue for people.
Yeah, for me, it's special that I can combine two of my passions with football and helping people with gambling-related harm. My boss, who's become a really good friend of mine over the years, Paul Buck, supported us in doing that. I asked him the question if he would sort of put Epic on the front of the away shirt. And for me, it was nice that he was able to do it. It's something that I'm extremely proud of, the fact that he's able to do it and help us out, because to have a company that's given me back so much over the last sort of 5 or 6 years of working for them, giving me a new lease of life from where I was at. Don't want to go into the gambling side, but I was in a bit of a hole, in a bit of a dark place. And he gave me a sort of new lease of life and a new job where I can go around to football clubs, schools, businesses, and talk about my lived experiences with gambling. So to now have that plastered across the front of our shirt, it's brilliant. When I saw it for the first time, I was a little bit emotional because we've kind of gone full circle. Obviously, starting out as just on a retainer with Paul in the early days to now managing a special football club and having a special organisation on the front of the shirt, which represents the business, represents the football club, but also represents me as well. It's something I'm extremely grateful for.
Something I'd be remiss not to ask as well. Thanks for answering that one, Scott. That's something I'd be remiss not to ask. I think Adi will glare at me if I don't mention yellow cards or something like that. And you're
yeah, I was panicking that I was going to miss the Grimsby game. I think I'm on 5 yellows in the 5 yellows in the league now, and maybe 2 in the FA Cup. But I think they're competition specific.
Yeah.
So I do miss the Truro game here on Tuesday night. I think I've got my 5 yellow cards. But having said that, for a 35-year-old, playing Sunday, Tuesday is not the end of the world. So it's probably a good one to miss. It'll probably give me a chance to rest and recover for the following Saturday. So, it's definitely something that I've found this season has been difficult to shy away from getting. I think the referees as well, being a manager on the pitch, I'm probably meant to lead by example, but sometimes that can spill over, and I'm probably an easy yellow card. Managers, the referees have said to me so many times this year, "You're meant to be the manager. You're meant to be the manager," and all of a sudden the card comes out. And yeah, it's probably easier and safer to be on the touchline. You probably don't get booked as often there.
I think one of the part-time supporters actually pulled up the referee for this weekend.
Saw that, Max.
Yeah,
Max put it up.
50 odd yellow cards or something already. So yeah,
it's something we'll have to be aware of. Someone also put, I think that the last game he refereed us was 5-1 at home last year, my first game against Eastbourne. So hopefully that's not an omen. Fingers crossed things have changed. But when I saw that, that was a hell of a day. Definitely feels like it's a million miles from that day then. I remember coming in to do an interview and hearing, I just said, what a day, because I didn't see it coming. I took myself off after 20 minutes, and hopefully I don't have to take myself off after 20 minutes on Sunday.
We obviously don't want to go into your sort of team selection. Obviously, that's remains to be seen. But speaking to Josh Chapman this week, he said that you probably have a large squad to choose from, a large number of players, and those that have minor injuries can make themselves available. Yeah,
the only person that's not back fit now is Gary Abasogan. So Joe Dandy will be back involved in the squad, which is great news. He's ahead of schedule. Gary's close as well. Managers always say, it's great to have the competition and selection issues. It's an absolute nightmare because I rate every player that we've got so highly. I love them to pieces as players, as teammates. So it's really, really difficult, really tricky. Picking the team for this game was one of the hardest decisions that I've had in years. It really was difficult because I knew there would be an emotional attachment with that as well. I've been left out of big games in the past, and you go home, you feel sorry for yourself. But the reality is the only person that feels sorry for you is yourself, and you need to have a bit between your teeth and be ready to come on and impact the game. We spoke about it at length last night, the amount of times you see the super sub coming on in a game and scoring the winning goal. That's the sort of picture that people have to have in their mind. They can't be thinking, I'm coming here Sunday afternoon to sit down and watch a game for 60, 70 minutes and then have to switch on and come on. We have got a special group, and we try and talk to them and get them to understand why we've gone with a selected side. We've not got too many sulkers. So fingers crossed that they'll be ready to rock and roll, and their attitude's are spot on.
Scott, just to finish off then, have you got a message for the supporters? Because there are going to be several thousand here on Sunday afternoon. What would you say to them?
Yeah, thank you first for selling out the ground. I think that's the first message that I've got. I think it's special that they're able to sell out the ground. It obviously shows the support that they've given us. Yella mentioned it on in an interview yesterday, where he said the difference between supporters and fans. They do support us. There's so many times over the past year where we probably could have been booed off the pitch. People could have left early, but they've supported us through thick and thin. I realise that there's been testing times, trying times over the past year. And I don't think anyone in their right mind would have thought it would have been any different. It was obviously strange for me to take over in the circumstances that I did. But I'm just extremely grateful that I get to lead this football club as manager. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not just saying it for cliches. And it means a lot. And I think Sunday is kind of reward for the support they've given us over the past year. It's a great day for them. I hope they enjoy it. I hope they can out-sing the Grimsby fans, who will be fantastic, by the way. I've played up there and they're a loud bunch. So yeah, enjoy it, get behind the team, support them as you usually do. And it's just a massive thanks from me and the boys for their continued support.
Scott Davis, thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. All good?
Yeah, lovely.
The live stream still going?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Didn't know if to finish with a dance or not.